Hey, it's Ashley from Westcott, and today we'll be doing a hands-on shoot with the Alpha 9 III and the FJ wireless system. What sets this camera apart is its groundbreaking features, including the first ever global shutter in a full-frame camera. While a typical mechanical shutter, which is common in most cameras, captures images line by line, the global shutter reads every pixel simultaneously. This offers a unique feature that has several advantages, including the ability to shoot at incredibly fast shutter speeds, up to 1/80,000th of a second, which is 10 times faster than most other cameras on the market at this point. Additionally, the global shutter allows for shooting up to 120 frames per second. These features particularly benefit photographers that are capturing fast-moving subjects, but as a portrait photographer, these features aren't really things I would use on a daily basis. However, there is one feature that really interests me, and it's its capability to sync with strobes at any shutter speed, eliminating the constraints of a sync speed when working with strobes like the Westcott FJ400. This opens up the possibilities when it comes to capturing unique and stunning images, making the Sony Alpha 9 III a game changer in the world of flash photography. Most cameras today with a mechanical shutter have a sync speed of around 1/250th of a second. Thanks to the global shutter of the Sony Alpha 9 III, it can sync flashes all the way up to its max shutter speed of 1/80,000th of a second. When using strobes with a camera with a mechanical shutter, high-speed sync is a workaround for those who want to shoot at a shutter speed faster than its sync speed. But this comes with a downside. High-speed sync works by having your strobe send out very small bursts of light throughout your exposure. Since your strobe works harder to produce these small, fast bursts, you're going to lose a lot of flash power and also drain your battery faster. This is especially the case when working with fast shutter speeds. Sometimes this output loss can be very significant, and with the global shutter I'm able to shoot at faster shutter speeds without the use of high-speed sync, allowing me to get the most out of my flash's output. One important thing to keep in mind when working with flash and global shutter is the flash duration of your strobes. With the faster shutter speeds of the Sony Alpha 9 III, it's important to have a strobe with a fast flash duration. When it comes to measuring flash duration, there are two common ways it's measured, T1 and T5. And for this video, I'm going to focus on just T1, since it's more accurate to what I'm doing today. In the context of flash photography, T1 refers to the duration, specifically the time it takes for the flash to reach its peak intensity and then increase down to 10% of that intensity. With the Westcott FJ400 that I'm using today, its max T1 speed is 1/3000th of a second in normal mode. So what happens when your shutter speed is faster than your strobe's flash duration? With the Sony Alpha 9 III, there is a solution, and you can adjust the flash timing setting to better sync with your peak of your flash's output. This way you can get the most out of your flash exposure. Since the FJ400's T1 speed is around 1/3000th of a second, you don't really need to adjust anything until after you exceeded your flash duration. But the more you go past this speed, the more important it is to adjust this setting. If you're shooting at the extreme ends of the Sony Alpha 9 III's shutter speeds, like at 1/80,000th of a second, you might miss the flash entirely if you don't set this right. When adjusting your flash timing setting, it's important to note that the peak of the light can be different depending on what flash you're using and what power setting it's on. So it's going to be something you don't want to play with before you get into your shoot. And to learn more about the flash timing settings, reference the Westcott's Frequently Asked Questions page, where you can download a field guide. This can help let you know what flash timing setting to choose based off your desired output and shutter speed, and we'll make sure to link that below. So now that you know the benefits of a global shutter, let's get into how I got these shots and how the global shutter affected the shoot. One of my goals for the shoot was to show the capabilities of the Sony Alpha 9 III, and for that I needed a space with a lot of ambient light. And here in Ohio in the middle of winter, sunlight and good weather are not easily come by. But luckily our friends at the Toledo Zoo allowed us to use their beautiful 2-story greenhouse for the shoot. And luckily we were able to shoot on a bright sunny day. So for the first shot, I wanted to push the capabilities of a global shutter and shoot at faster shutter speeds than what would be possible with a mechanical shutter. With faster shutter speeds, I knew I'd be eliminating a lot of ambient light. So with that in mind, I wanted to go for a darker, more dramatic portrait. For lighting, I used Westcott's FJ400s, with my main light being modified with a 24-inch rapid box beauty switch. This is with the silver interior. I wanted to use a smaller modifier to keep the light focused on my model and achieve a harder light look. I added in a second FJ400. This one I wanted to keep as a bare bulb with a light orange colored flexi gel. Since I was shooting at 1/20,000th of a second and cutting a lot of the ambient light, this gave me a unique opportunity to control the whole scene with lighting. And I wanted to use this light without a modifier so I can get a large light spread. That way I could add a warm light to the entire scene, while also adding a hard edge light to my subject, separating her from the background. While I was shooting this look, the greenhouse misters turned on behind my model. I quickly took advantage of this to add some atmosphere to my scene. I changed my camera angle so the FJ400 that I was using as an edge light was directly behind my subject. This backlit my subject, but more importantly, it lit up the mist in the air, creating a glow to my scene. Since I changed my camera angle, my main light also became a bit more front on to my subject, giving me more even lighting across my subject's face. For the final shot in this location, I wanted to go for a day to night look. And again, since I'm using a fast shutter speed of 1/20,000th of a second, I had full control of the ambient light, which is perfect for a day to night look. I simply took the flexi gel off of my backlight and put it on my main light, and then white balanced my camera to tungsten to match the gel color. By adding the light orange gel to my main light and white balancing my camera to tungsten, anything lit by daylight or my backlight will turn into a blue shade, giving me the look of being in nighttime while still working in the daylight. For the next look, I wanted to go to the first floor of the greenhouse, and my goal was a bright, airy look. The first thing I did for the shot was lower my shutter speed. Since I knew I wanted that bright, airy look, I knew I was going to let some of the ambient light in. I also swapped out my 24-inch beauty dish for a 36-inch rapid box beauty dish switch, this one with a silver interior. This gave me a soft light to my subject, but also gave me more coverage for wider shots. Finally, I wanted to mimic some sunlight, so I added in an optical spot to the scene. I used a 50mm lens on the optical spot to help spread out the light. I wanted this light to look like the sun was setting, so I added a half CTO gel just to warm it up a little bit. I also used a maple leaves gobo, but I didn't choose this gobo for the shape, but instead I picked it because of how broken up the pattern would be. Since I was shooting in a greenhouse, I wanted to mimic the sunlight, so I wanted it to be broken up almost like it would look like if the sunlight was coming through leaves and branches. Finally, we added some mist into the air just so the light waves would pick it up and add some atmosphere to the photo. For my last look of the shoot, I wanted to do a similar lighting setup as the previous shot, but I wanted to make one big change. I used the same modifiers as the last shot, but added in a third light. And I wanted to use this third light to backlight my subject and some of the plants surrounding her. So I placed this backlight on the path directly behind my subject. I also added the same light orange flexi gel that I used in the first look to add a warm glow that would complement the color of my model's dress. Another thing I did differently is I didn't want to use the mister. To me, it was adding a lot of distraction and taking the focus off of the subject. As you can see, the Sony Alpha 9 III isn't just for photographers that want to shoot fast-moving subjects. As a portrait photographer, I'm able to utilize the global shutter to maximize my flash's output, especially at faster shutter speeds. And this allows me to have more control over the bright ambient light. Let me know in the comments below what aspect of a global shutter are you most excited to see and how you would use this new technology. And as always, thank you for watching.